Many of us in the zombies community have been struggling for years without what we thought was a good zombies game, but I can finally say that in my opinion, we're so back. Hello everybody, I go by Atlas, and today I'd like to discuss some of my opinions about how the BO6 Zombies release has gone as of Season 1's release. Now, this was supposed to be recorded and come out before Season 1, but it didn't. Because I'm an amateur, and I've never done something like this before, and it took me a while to work up the nerve to work on it. There's some things I'd like to clarify before I even explain the format. First and foremost, like I said, I've never done anything like this before, so when it comes to making a video essay like this, if it can even be called a video essay, I apologize if I seem a little bit scatterbrained or disorganized, or if I stumble over my words, or I improvise like I've already done, because a lot of what I just said was not in my script. I'd also like to mention that these are very much my opinions, and not in any way the objective right answer. And if you disagree, first of all, that's fine. I'm not an infallible god with all the right opinions. And second of all, let me know why you disagree, and maybe after hearing it from somebody else, I might change my mind. Maybe get down in the comments, maybe tell me, you know, what I forgot, what I didn't, what I shouldn't have added, what I did add, and you think that's bullshit. Now, let's also get out of the way that while I consider myself a huge Zombies fan, I am not by any means a fully informed source. My first Zombies game was actually Advanced Warfare. Now, I know that's a bombshell, but I would like to add that the game that I really firstly played was BO3. I've played all of BO2, I've played all of Infinite Warfare, all of Cold War, all of BO3, and for the moment, all of BO6. I've never played BO1, World at War. I haven't played most of BO4. I own it, but I've only played, I think, maybe a couple matches of Blood of the Dead or 9. But having known most of the information about their maps and having a decent understanding of the Zombies formula and their structure, I hope any hardcore Zombies players from the start can look past the gaps in my experience. The way this is going to work is that I want to separate my talking points into 3 distinct categories: the good, the bad, and what I'm calling the standard. The good and bad are self-explanatory, but the standard is what I feel is a feature that should be standard to a Zombies mode, whether it's made by Treyarch or whether it's not. A benchmark on what makes Zombies zombies, not something that we lost as a feature and gained back, such as the pillar of the advertisement around Black Ops 6 Zombies, which is that it's going back to a round-based design. Please let me know if there's anything that you think I missed, or if you think that I put a good feature as a bad one, or a bad feature as a good one, and I hope you all enjoy hearing my opinions about BO6. Now let's get to the standard by going right into the first point, round-based being the core. I think most people know or agree Zombies belongs as a round-based game mode. It's iconic, it's fun, and it incentivizes things such as competition and beating your personal best. While maybe Modern Warfare 3 wasn't terrible as a game mode, it's just not Zombies. It's not that classic Zombies feel that so many, like myself, and like many others, especially a lot of my friends, long for. Now let's get into the next big standard, original maps. Even as somebody who enjoyed Cold War, the lack of a truly original map for the game mode is always a disappointment. Of course, there have been maps in the past that have reused assets from other parts of the game, but Cold War, which is what many people consider the last good Zombies, including myself, having not a single original map definitely held back its success. I want to point out, I do love Cold War, and I do love specifically Mauer or Toten, because that's my favorite map from that game. And not to mention the fact that technically in a core Aether timeline Treyarch Zombies game, so no Modern Warfare 3 and no Vanguard, there hasn't been an original map since Gorod Krovi, all the way back in BO3. And yes, I know the Dark Aether is technically new, but it is directly connected to the Aether timeline, so it counts for me. Also, I know about the Terminus ending, so you don't need to tell me, oh, you don't know this thing about the timeline or whatever? I don't know. On a different turn, we return to some of the truly wonderful Easter egg songs made by the one and only Kevin motherfucking Sherwood, baby. Can You Hear Me and Destroy Something Beautiful are some seriously packed and truly phenomenal Easter egg songs. I cannot wait to see what's being cooked up in the next maps. Honestly, maybe we get a featured artist like we used to get, like Avenged Sevenfold, you know? We might get some songs. I don't know. I did like Amoeba and Mauer. Also, Damn 7, which is, I don't know if its name is Damn 7, but I know it as Damn 7. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Another sorely missed feature is the return of the dedicated Zombies crew. I don't think anything can beat Primus, Ultimus, or Victus, but playing as Maya, Carver, Gray, and Weaver is a phenomenally good time, as well as having the operators like Cold War, if you so desired. Honestly, some of the operators have been pretty cool to play as. Also, Klaus is my favorite, and my headcanon is going to be that during the Terminus prison break, Klaus just reappeared from the Dark Aether and is now just hanging out with Requiem, so I have a in-lore excuse to play as him. Now I want to mention that we have in-depth Easter eggs. To keep this short, because I'll mention the eggs themselves later, the main quest for Liberty Falls and Terminus are just what we'd expect from Treyarch. It's a great time and a well-involved story. Now, it is not as in-depth as we would like in terms of moving the story completely forward, because a lot of what we could learn is related to setting up for the next maps, but it is a great start for a game in the Zombies timeline. Along the lines of the main egg, these maps are filled with side Easter eggs. From the hidden music, to building the wonder weapon, to getting a talisman to give you a permanent double points, but you lose points on hit, or bowling to knock zombies down and getting points afterward. A coterie of side Easter eggs has always been a hit with Zombies, always leaving you with that sense that, have you found everything? Have you found why the KN-44 is so important? People are still looking at BO3 trying to figure out the impossible Easter egg, and things like that are just the standard of what's important in a Zombies mode. That feeling of you don't know when you're done. You are always looking to find the new thing. Finally, for the standard, we have the Cold War systems returning. Without getting into the improvements or otherwise for these systems, since I'll be getting into those later, BO6 brings back what I think a lot of people valued about Cold War's changes to the status quo of Zombies. For example, field upgrades have returned, new ammo mods and old, the elemental weaknesses on bosses and special zombies. I think they've all established themselves as a part of the zombie formula without being intruding at this point. Now, there are some points that we will get into the opposite, or that have become even better, but for now, just the Cold War systems being a part of the Zombies formula without being intrusive is, I think, another part of the standard of Zombies. Alright, that's the end of the standards BO6 Zombies has to offer us. Now let's get into what I think are the good improvements to BO6 Zombies. And remember, these are all just my opinion, and completely fine to disagree with. Please don't flame me now that we're getting into the thick of what I think is good about this mode. Getting right into it with probably one of, if not the most important quality of life change to BO6, is save and quitting. The fact that you can save and quit your games and return to them at a later date. While it isn't perfect, for example, only having your saves exist for 30 days and also only having one at a time rather than one per map, or even more than that, I think that even though there are drawbacks, I think just having the option at all is a huge change in the right direction, and I hope it becomes another standard of the zombies mode down the line. Now, if you hate BO3, you probably won't like this next feature that returns, which is Gobblegums. Now, you might be wondering, why isn't this in standard? I don't think it's considered a standard, even though it was only in one game, but it just so happens to be in what many people consider the best game in the Zombies series. And yes, I know that Zombies is not the core of COD, but for me and a lot of other people, it is. It's a perfect way to spice up the Zombies formula while staying true to the Zombies feel. Not only are they back in the game, they're also earned in-game rather than only earning them through Divinium. Gobblegums are, in my opinion, the great equalizer. They can let a bad zombie player get ahead and have fun, or let a good zombies player really push the limit of what they can do. The only shame is that since they aren't infinite use, there is that nag at the back of your brain to save them for something more important, but since you get a good amount, it's not a huge issue. I already have like 40 anywhere but here, so I don't think I'm ever gonna run out. Now this may be where I start to get a little bit controversial, but having at the start of the game's launch a hard and a casual map is, in my opinion, a great formula. You want to really put in the time and effort to learn and adapt to a more difficult experience? Play Terminus. Maybe you just got off work, or you just want to chill, or you want to camo grind and not really pay that much attention. You can play Liberty Falls. Not to say that either Terminus is absurdly hard or Liberty Falls is absurdly easy, but they definitely lean towards that more hard and casual experience respectively. These truly are exceptional maps at the purpose that they are trying to fulfill. Will everyone like both maps? Probably not. There's already been a good amount of hate on Liberty Falls, at least from what I have seen, but not nearly as much as people did before the actual game came out. The first real zombies experience I had was going hard into Shadows of Evil, and then chilling out on the Giant. It really hits the sweet spot for me in terms of pandering to each side of the crowd. Now let's talk about one of my favorite maps in the last 5, if not more, years. Terminus is truly and honestly a phenomenal map. Its atmosphere is like a mix between Zetsubou and Mob of the Dead. The layout is fun and enjoyable to play on, and honestly, I really expected the boat mechanic to be much more intrusive before the game came out, and I really don't love vehicles in the zombies mode, but I don't think they are intrusive on Terminus. I actually think they add to the vibe of the map pretty well. Also, side note, the Beam Smasher is a sick wonder weapon, with a good, effective side quest to obtain it, and god, that boss was hard for me. But overall, one of the best maps in recent history, at least to me. And just a short little point here, on the parasites and vermin, while I love that the parasites have returned basically unchanged, I'm glad that vermin are not just a direct port of Zetsubou spiders. They both feel really welcome in the current sandbox. Also, P.S. Please add hellhounds. Like, please add hellhounds, for the love of God. Now let's talk about the newest perk in Zombies, Melee Macchiato. It's niche, but an effective perk at doing what it's meant to do. It's kind of like a form of double tap, but for melee builds, if not just double tap, but for melee builds, which, as you might learn soon, there's now a very dedicated way to play with melee that doesn't feel as intrusive as Cold War. Plus, its jingle and machine, S tier. It's probably my favorite new perk since Widow's Wine back in BO3, and that includes like everything from all of the redesigned perks in Infinite Warfare to Elemental Pop. on the topic of melee, the dedicated melee slot is an unexpected change that I'm a huge fan of. It removes that competing aspect from Cold War where unless you had Mule Kick, you had to sacrifice a lot of your firepower to have a melee weapon. Now I can have the ray gun and the jet gun and a melee all at the same time. Is it a bit broken? I don't know. We'll find out in time when we learn more about how melees fit into the overall gameplay loop of zombies. Probably one of the best improvements to Cold War systems is the augment system. The augment system is a more balanced and fun version of the Ethereum upgrades from Cold War. Instead of just having every upgrade and feeling absurdly broken off the bat, we get to pick and choose what we want from 3 major and 3 minor upgrades, making everyone feel unique and less overpowered than how it used to be. If I want to run Turtle Shell and feel like I'm running the old Zombie Shield, then I can. Or if I really don't want Electric Cherry because I want to be able to reload and not kill zombies near me, then I can do that. Speaking of better than it used to be, I'm going to lump Salvage and Arsenal together. First off, salvage has been simplified. Instead of having normal and rare salvage, we now have just one type, which is, in my opinion, a great change, because it didn't need to be that complicated. We already have points, and now we have salvage. We don't need a third version of already being used currency to deal with. Its use has now been changed to be used to apply ammo mods in addition to what it used to do. Also, the Arsenal has received a pretty small but welcome change, making it closer to the zombies theming. It now has an updated look to be closer to a perk machine, and honestly, I really like the humorous voice lines that it says when you're near it. I'm glad that more aspects of the mode are being leaned into the zombie stylized theming and not multiplayer, because the more zombies we have, the better it feels. I don't want to feel like I'm playing Warzone. Now, moving right along, I'll get into my score streak thoughts at a different time. But the new Mangler Cannon and the new Mutant Injection score streaks are actually really fun to use. They feel immersive and fit the game mode, unlike using a Chopper Gunner or using a Hellstorm or using an RCXD, even though the RCXD is to a lesser extent because having the Dark Ether explosion, I guess, that happens around it makes it feel more usable in the game mode. Plus, it's definitely more possible that an RCXD would be used compared to a literal Hellstorm. I don't even know how they have access to that on Terminus. Like, they just got out of prison. Is it just like a pre-approved, like, nearby Janus something or other? I don't know. Hopefully we get the death machine back, as it feels sorely missed, at least in my eyes. Even if it's not from a power-up, I don't mind having to build it, but I wish I had the power-up. Now, some people I play with would very much disagree with this point being good, but I actually quite like the return of the balancing of ammo in BO6 to be a lot more along the lines of older Zombies games. It's not quite the exact same, which is why this isn't in standard, because you don't need to run out and then go get another weapon. You need to seriously think, when am I going to get my next weapon? Am I going to be able to make it to building the wonder weapon? Am I going to be able to should I buy ammo from the box? Should I hit the box, the mystery box? Or should I just melee? That feeling of needing ammo conservation was sorely missed in Cold War, and I'm assuming Modern Warfare 3 or Vanguard. I haven't played them. And I'm glad there's more point to buying a gun off the wall to replace your gun without ammo, at least early on. Not really as much when you get on into the game, but it wasn't like that either for other games. Another potentially controversial change, but I actually quite like, is the fact that the Wonder Fizz comes out at round 25 instead of coming out at round 15, like on D Machina, or being available from the just start of the game as soon as you make it there. I think it makes the perk machines actually integral knowledge of a map. When you play an older Zombies map, you need to learn where the perk machines are, because the Wonder Fizz didn't do what it used to do. It used to just give you a random perk, and on most maps, it wouldn't even give you a random perk from that map. It would just give you a random perk in general. I love the fact that I have to know where Deadshot is. I have to know where Jug is. I have to know where Speed Cola is. I have to go out of my way to go find them. I have to risk leaving my training spot or leaving my camping spot to go find these things, instead of, all right, I'm just gonna go around the tank on Mauer or go up to the radioactive tower in Forsaken and just buy everything I need from the Wonder Fizz all at once, and then just keep going back and forth to that one spot. It makes the replayability of every map unique, and it makes the rollout of every map feel much more unique as well. While this is a small change, the fact that Wonder Weapons can now not only be viewed like a normal weapon, the fact that they also have skins is a very cool feature. I like that it makes your Wonder Weapon feel more unique from others, especially because you get a ray gun Wonder Weapon skin from beating the Liberty Falls Easter egg. That is a brilliant change, and it means that I don't have to pay to feel more unique to others. I'm assuming if we get a new Wonder Weapon, say the Ray Gun Mark II comes back, or the Thunder Gun, it's possible that we could either get these skins from doing Easter eggs, or they could be limited time offers, say part of a battle pass, part of a event. Like we could have the Tundra Gun, as much as I feel ill for having to mention it, we could have the Tundra Gun as a skin for the Thunder Gun. It invites a little bit more customization in a way that doesn't feel intrusive, and microtransactions got to be in the game because they got to make money, or even more money, so I don't mind, but it's a very unique and fun feature. Now, while I'm not going to spoil any major story bits, since not everybody has played guided mode, or rather directed mode, I'm going to say that so far, the story of BO6 Zombies has been a great time. Liberty Falls, while disconnected for the moment, feels like it's setting up some major plot lines down the line. And Terminus truly moves the story forward with its massive reveals during the end of the Easter egg. I cannot wait to see where they go with this plot line, and just need to know, play Terminus. If you haven't been spoiled, please play Terminus. At least watch the end cutscene. You need to know what happens. Milo has a good video going over it. Everybody has good videos going over it. Please learn what happens at the end of Terminus. It's a rich and impactful story, and I cannot wait to see what they do in future maps. On the topic of story, the guided mode to me has the potential to be a great quality of life change to Zombies. It lets the new or subpar players experience the story without the stress of doing an egg in a full game. An Easter egg can take hours, if not more than a couple hours. I may be killing my credentials here, but I've actually only done technically two Easter eggs in BO3. I've done Zetsabo, and I've technically done the Giant, even though the Giant is like throw a monkey bomb in a thing. So if BO3 had a mode like this, I think it'd really help a lot of people see the story without being skill checked by the egg. I have a friend who is not new to Zombies, but not a particular Zombies fan, but that he wants to learn the story. So I think the directed mode / the guided mode will have a very positive impact on a lot of players who don't feel confident doing the egg, don't want to waste a lot of time doing the egg. They just want to see the story and be over with it. Now let's mention another improvement over the Cold War systems. SAM trials make the challenge mechanic feel more fresh and more rewarding. You no longer have to do like 6 challenges in a round to get your rewards, or not have to keep rolling for a challenge you can even do. You now get your rewards, get one trial, and they also aren't broken. Sure, I've gotten a ray gun from them at round 25, but I'm not going to get the Ray K at like round 5 like I absolutely did in Firebase Z on Cold War. I can now spend a bit in the round, go do a cool thing, which especially if it's the one that gives you, say, I don't have PhD, it will give me PhD to do that challenge. I can do a cool thing and move on and get just a little reward, or get a really good reward if I'm at a later round. Now, getting close to the end of the good category, I think the camo grind in this game has been improved. The camos themselves are phenomenal. Nebula and Afterlife are great, and I love that they are no longer locked to the weapon level. In fact, the optimal strategy has been to just get the gold, or get the gold and the opal in a category, move on, and then don't even worry about the weapon level. I hope that they keep a lot of these ideas for the next Zombies game, since being made to level is always tedious, despite me doing it anyway, because I'm a completionist. Now, this next category is going to be improvised, because I somehow forgot a huge quality of life change, although it's not very huge for me. The third-person mode, something I would have never told you to add to Zombies, or never expected to be added to Zombies, is not something that I would have, it's not something that I would have wanted or would use, but for the people who want to use it, it's a good change. I don't hate it. It's non-intrusive. You can just change it right there in the menu. You don't need to worry about it or care about it. You can just use it if you want, or don't use it. It's pretty nice that it's there. Well, that wraps up what I think are the main good talking points for BO6. Now remember that if I missed something, or you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, and we'll see where the comment section moves us to. Let's get into what I consider the bad. Now, these can range from a nitpick to a game-wide problem, so keep that in mind when hearing what I have to say, because even if I think it's bad, it does not mean that it is objectively bad in most cases, but it means that from a Zombies player who has a lot of love for the mode, I am not a fan of these features. If you disagree, let me know, and also, just know that you're right. You don't need... It's okay. We don't need to... It doesn't need to be a big deal. Getting right into it, Zombies being balanced around the tactical sprint is an issue that I don't believe is new, but I think it's worth mentioning that I'm not a huge fan of it. However, since I learned that in the menu you can change auto sprint to be on, and then you can start treating tac sprint like a normal sprint and treating sprinting as walking, it has made the experience a hell of a lot better for a BO3 player / BO2 / Infinite Warfare. So it's not intrusive anymore, but I don't think it's how Zombies should be balanced, in my opinion. I do like that it's there, though. Now, this is probably the worst thing that BO6 does. Black Ops 6 is purely run on servers, similar to a game like Destiny or Warframe, which I also happen to play and like. It really holds back so many aspects of the game. First of all, at some point down the road, this game will be taken offline. It could be 20 years from now, it could be 40 years from now, it could be tomorrow. The game being purely ran on servers means you cannot play this game offline, which has its own issues that range from being vulnerable to any online exploit, like some of the other COD games have, or being not even able to play it 20 years down the line, like World at War or BO1. This also means that any server issues means you cannot play it. I could play BO3 if the servers were fucking up, I just couldn't access my shit, but there is no way to play this game while they are getting fixed. Now, is this something that will eventually change 20 years down the line? I don't know, because I hope that everything that I'm working for, I will be able to keep for the rest of my career, similar to going back and looking at my BO3 camos that I've earned or loadouts that I've made, but right now, it's probably the biggest thing that holds BO6 back. As a consequence of the game being run on servers, there's a limited amount of time you can be paused in solo play. Now, when this timer runs out, it saves and quits, but it's just a hassle to have to go back in or potentially run out of time while looking up an Easter egg. As a mainly solo player myself, it sucks because I basically have to look up the entire Easter egg before going in or play it congruently while I'm doing the egg. So it is a little bit annoying. Another consequence of the game being run on servers, the kicked for inactivity timer feels so much more strict in this game compared to what it used to be. Now, first of all, I am recording this after Season 1 releases. It was not supposed to be released after Season 1, so the change for the kicked for inactivity timer that went through with Season 1 has, as far as I'm aware, helped a lot with this issue because they've changed the formula for how you get kicked, and also they've added a warning for how you get kicked. But before Season 1 released, I got kicked in the amount of time that it took to explain the boss fight for Terminus to a friend right at the end, so we had to re-go in and do it all again. It screws you over if it's intrusive like that, and it can be avoided, so it's not a huge deal, but it is a bit annoying. Getting into what I have as a severely personal gripe, I think that most of us can agree, the Mangler has been severely overused. I'm gonna be frank, I'm just tired of seeing them. I like Manglers, they were really good in Gorod Krovi, it was cool to see them come back in Cold War, but they have been used in every map since D Machina, except for Vanguard, but they were a big thing. They were in Modern Warfare 3, they're in both Terminus and Liberty Falls, they were in Forsaken, they were in Mauer der Toten, and Firebase Z. And then before that, they were only in one map. They just need to use something else. I don't care if they've made something new. It's time we see some maps that just don't have them at all. Bring back the Disciples. Bring back Valkyrie drones. Hell, I would even take Mimics at this point, despite the fact that I am probably going to eat those words, because Mimics suck. But just please give me something other than Manglers as a special zombie. Please. Next, we have the parts of Cold War systems that I don't like. The weapon rarity system isn't as fun as Pack-a-Punching, or as simple and as fun as buying Double Tap. I'm used to it now, it's not a big deal, but it's just another thing that feels a little out of place. From not having the old point acquisition system, to the whole armor system, which is an issue in and of itself, they are ingrained with the mode. So at this point, I don't expect them to leave, but they don't feel as integrated as something like a field upgrade or a zombie themed score streak. In the vein of armor, there's actually a system that is close to how the old zombie shield used to work with armor. The turtle shell augment for Juggernog. It has a very severe problem. One, if you get grabbed by an amalgam on Terminus after a certain round, I don't know the exact number, but after a certain round, probably like 30, it will one-shot you because you have no damage mitigation from the front, and you cannot not face the amalgam when you get grabbed. Now, this has not been changed as of Season 1's release, so it might be intentional. However, this basically makes the augment unusable for Terminus until the moment Treyarch decides to change this. Another problem is that after a certain point, If you get hit in the face with a mangler shot, you will be downed. I don't believe you'll be downed in one hit. It's possibly 2 hits or even 3 hits, but you will take a crap ton of damage, and because of that, it really feels like Turtle Shell isn't as usable as it should be, and I'm glad that it's here, but I particularly the amalgam, I really need them to change, because if I can deal with the zombies hitting me. When I first played this game, I realized, man, zombies tag you like no other. And then I saw Turtle Shell, and I was like, oh, this will fix that. And then I learned by watching probably Raffle Waffles or Dalek JD that you just get one shot if you get grabbed by them. And I hope that they change that, because it really makes it not usable at all. Now let's get into some of that aura talk that everybody likes to talk about. Liberty Falls. While I view it as a good map, and it has definitely been improved since we saw it at the COD Next, it is not nearly as basic as it was there. It's just not as atmospheric, you know. I've come to expect some real bangers from zombies. I want to see Shadows of Evil. I want to see Origins, even Voyage of Despair level vibe. And Liberty Falls isn't it. And it also gets back into the argument of everything just being a facility, which in certain cases I don't mind. Mauer der Toten, the idea of a zombies map taking place at the Berlin Wall, genius. Even though it's reused, that idea is genius. It's kind of like how Kino is a theater and a facility at the same time. I think Liberty just needed that extra push to get the feels in a better place. Terminus, perfect. Doesn't need any change. Fits in, great. Don't even touch it. Now, much like Liberty Falls, the HUD has had a step in the right direction, but not enough to really get me feeling it. I love that the HUD is customizable. That is a great change. But the BO3 vacuum tube HUD, or the BO1/2/World at War blood splatter HUD, or the Infinite Warfare 90s themed HUD with the cards, just you need to get further away from the multiplayer styling that is sorely missed from this game compared to the other games. And while this game makes strides, like the character portrait, it still fully isn't there. Also, bonus comment, please integrate a microtransaction system that allows you to sell different HUD types. I would absolutely buy a BO3 themed HUD. Could you imagine having a vacuum tube BO3 HUD or a blood splatter BO2 HUD as a microtransaction? Like, I don't know if I'm crazy here, but I feel like it wouldn't be that much effort to make a new icons for as a microtransaction. And I would totally buy that. And I know a ton of other people would buy that. Also on the HUD, I've had some issues that impair its enjoyability. For example, what feels like at random times, I have not been able to discern why, my HUD gets reset without my input. I will go into a game, and just for some reason, I won't have a HUD. Or not won't have a HUD, I won't have my HUD that I built, that I put all the settings in for. They will change over time, and it's not worth mentioning that I'm assured that these will be fixed. But another issue is that you can't separate medals and camo from the level unlocks. I want the camo and the level unlocks. I don't want the medals. My solution has been to just set the medal category, I believe it's medal and notification feed, to 1, so I cannot see them at all, because you can barely see shit on 20. But I do still get the camo and level unlocks at full opacity, because that doesn't change. I want to see when I level a gun, get a gobble gum, or unlock a camo. What I don't want to see is I killed 5 zombies and a billion massacre medals pop up on the screen, and it's a change I hope they implement, but for now, it's an issue. Now, another personal gripe that is very much a nitpick, but a lot of the guns in this game feel a little bit lame and forgettable, specifically when unpack-a-punched. There aren't any, mostly, bad guns, but they're just kind of basic. Like, there's like, I think at least 6 different AK pattern guns, like the actual AK, the AS Val, the KSV, even the Jackal is still an AK pattern gun, even though it's got the different handle. What I want to see is more unique. I don't have the Helion Salvo. I don't have the Rift E9. I don't have the PPSH. And I'm sure that as the game comes out with more guns, we're going to get much cooler stuff, like the PPSH, and also it has to be grounded because of the time period. But I really do hope that we get some cooler or more iconic guns as the game goes on. But for now, as with the HUD, it's just a small nitpick. On the topic of weapons, score streaks just don't feel like they belong in Zombies. I'm gonna be honest. The Mutant Injection and the Mangler Cannon are great. They belong, they feel great, they don't feel out of place, but the rest just feels so not Zombies. I try to avoid using them, but avoiding a part of a game mode is always hard. I like the Chopper Gunner. I don't think it's Zombies. I like the Hellstorm. It's not Zombies. Even the Sentry Turret, to an extent, doesn't feel very Zombies. The only thing that even kind of changes to feel more Zombies is like the RCXD. And like I said when I was mentioning them before, I don't even know how they have access to a Chopper Gunner on Terminus in the canon. Like, how does that even make sense? They're like fugitives, essentially, and Requiem's gone, and that's not Raptor 1, because his plane doesn't work at the time, at least when you're on the ground. So I can't get behind them, but they're not gonna, there's something I don't see going away. But to me, they just shouldn't be there. Another thing I don't see going away is the Cold War system for equipment. I miss getting monkeys or Arnie's or Gersh devices / Casimirs out of the box. It's so sad that I have to collect all this shit off the ground or make it myself, because that feeling of getting the cool equipment out of the box is just a part of Zombies that's been gone. Now, obviously this isn't changing, but if we get to more of a BO4 system where we can kind of change, like the lethal, for example, which we can in this game, technically, we can change the lethal, and the tactical, but you can only change what you go in one with. I really wish that they would go back to the old system. I don't hate this system, but the old equipment will always trounce the new style, in my opinion. Finally, for the bad, we have a small nitpick, and I could see this changing, but the Abomination hitboxes feel a little off. They're so finicky to hit the head compared to what they were in Cold War. I don't know if it's because they changed the Abomination model, or if they're facing, quote-unquote, more downwards, so they're harder to hit the head, but this is by no means a huge issue. But I'd like to throw it in at the end here, that I'd really like them to at least take a look at the Abomination hitboxes and see if they're requiring just a little bit of tuning. A little bit of tuning would go a long way for them, in my opinion. Well, everyone, that's all the bad features of Black Ops 6 at its launch. At least that I could come up with. Please remember that everything I've said here has been my own opinion, mostly based on my own experience and my history with the game mode. I'm not Milo, I'm not Lex, I'm not Tim Hansen, I'm not Noah. I am a average Zombies player I am not even average. I haven't played every Zombies. I would like to. I am not a fully informed opinion. I'm just a Zombies player with a love for the game, and I want to see Zombies succeed so badly. And with that, that's the end of my essay on Black Ops 6. I hope everyone enjoyed or at least felt more informed about the game mode after watching, and thank you to all of my friends who supported me on this and helped me come up with things of good or bad nature to add into the list. I hope to be able to do more videos and streams about Zombies or other stuff in the future, so if you'd like to see when I'd post more of that, please subscribe if you're interested, and if you could leave a like, it'd be greatly appreciated, since this is my first time trying to do something like this. I hope that it won't be the last. Hopefully I could do maybe a I could do a rating of all of the Zombies maps. It would be so cool to have my opinion shit on by Lex or by somebody else on their stream being like, dude, this list sucks. Because I have some takes about Zombies maps that I would like to get out there. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.